Of Girl Talk. I'm Kaye, Sera. I tell you what, in this episode we've got everything from astrology through to fabulous gowns and just a little bit of diamante as well. In fact, joining me in our studio at the moment is Mr. Robbie Dean. Robbie, welcome to Girl Talk.
Okay.
You're a very talented young man.
Thank you.
In fact, Robbie, you're the winner. You got first and third prize in the Australian Gown of the Year award. Is that its stage and theatrics?
Yes, that's right. There's no third prize, but...
So just first?
Yeah, first prize, but
did very well.
Yeah.
You must be very proud of yourself.
Yes, very. And shocked.
Is your history in gown making or jewellery making? Because you've brought in both today.
In both, in just anything in theatre, like props as well. You know, just interested in anything to do with stage.
So it's very theatrical, isn't it?
Yeah.
I do have I wonder if it's a good time to show. We do have a picture of the winning gown. Can we show that now?
Yeah, sure.
And it's over here. This is a bodice number. And does it have little diamantes all over it?
Yeah, it's all stars and feather. It's from the Magic Flute, the Queen of the Night, from the opera.
Oh, really? Yeah. Okay. Who's the young lady that's modelling it?
Mandy.
Is she a real girl? Or? Yes, she is.
Yes,
okay, I just thought I should ask that. Because I know that you have a little bit of a history with at Pokies.
Yes, yes.
Pokies was, we should say, a nightclub in St Kilda in the early 70s. Is that right?
Yes.
And you were involved
for 6 years. The last 6 years of it. It ran for 14.
Okay. Making gowns?
No, I was the dresser there, and out of necessity had to learn to fix zips and things, and that gave me the interest in the costumes.
So that's when you learnt the trade on the go.
Yeah,
okay.
I was very lucky, having all them trainees to help me.
I bet.
Yeah. Well, they know all the secrets and all the tricks.
Yeah. So I think we should start looking at the gowns at this point of time. You have a gown next to you here. Can we have a look at that one? Oh, no, this is the headdress first, or?
Yeah.
All these pieces are soldered on, is that right?
That's right, they're all on just brass wire and individually soldered on. That was the headdress for Salome.
Oh, right.
From the Gown of the Year.
Okay. How long does something like this take?
That was about 5 weeks, about 6-7 hours a day.
You're kidding. And quite a bit of coffee, I imagine. Yeah.
And burnt fingers.
Can we talk about some of these pieces here?
Yeah.
You've brought in quite a bit.
Well, they're the gauntlets to go with the headdress for Salome.
Okay. So I shall hold those up.
They just go in your forearm.
Right. How does it go on? Do a bit of a demo here.
Okay.
Well, oh God, it's like a chastity belt.
It is.
Okay. Okay. And probably would be better with bare arms.
Yes, and then the pin goes in to hold it closed.
All right. It's a live television, as you can see.
It is.
Okay. So there's 2 of those, and that goes with the headdress, and that's all a Salome outfit.
Oh no, there's bra and there's armbands and...
That's extraordinary.
And the skirt, there's a lot more to it than the 3 or 4 pieces, yeah.
So it's like a whole concept, the Salome outfit.
Yeah, it goes right through from head to toe.
Yeah. I noticed with these ones, actually, this is very telling, and I guess this is because they're used in the theatre, but can you... Oh. It's actually... Well, you have these are actually elasticized.
Yeah.
So that's so that you can get into them really easily.
Yeah, and also being a choker, when you move your neck and that, you want a little bit of give so that it's not digging in. So the elastic allows it to stretch a bit on your neck.
So is this part of a set, this one?
No.
Okay, but just in terms of like ballpark figure, how much are we looking at to buy something like that?
For a set, like a full set like that, about 400.
Okay, no, that's this one down here.
Yeah.
$400.
Yeah.
And how long does that take for you to make?
About 3 days.
3 days. The stones are soldered?
Yeah, each stone's individually soldered,
Okay.
they're all hand done, and all the claws are rechecked.
Robbie, your stuff is absolutely fantastic. I'm afraid we're getting the wind up sign in here, so thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you for inviting me in.
Oh, it's wonderful. Well, of course, we've looked at the beautiful diamantes and the fabulous gowns, and now we're taking our attention up into the sky with a little bit of astrology. I'm particularly interested in this segment. And welcome, Wendy and Kirsten, to Girl Talk. Wendy, you're an astrologer.
That's right, yeah.
And how long have you been practicing this fine art?
About 8 years.
8 years?
Yep.
Okay. And how did you get involved?
I was reading the Saturday Extra one weekend years ago, and just this small ad jumped out at me and it said astrology, and it just seemed interesting. And I'd had a chart read, my own chart, but really didn't know anything about it. So I've been fascinated ever since.
Because we all know about the star readings that we will see in magazines, and is this the art of astrology, the actual readings themselves?
The ones that you see in newspapers and magazines are based on a sun sign, so whatever month you're born in, whether you're a Cancerian or Libran, they just base them on where the sun is, whereas the birth chart is based on time, date and place of birth.
Okay.
So it's exact, so it's quite different.
Do we know the history of these signs?
Well,
So I'm a Virgo.
yeah, I know that. The astrology I practice is Western or humanistic astrology, and it's based in old Greek myth and the gods and goddesses of Mount Olympus.
Okay.
And the planets are named after some of those gods and goddesses.
I notice on your card you have the words transits and progressions and Saturn returns.
Okay.
So what do these mean?
Okay, so your birth chart is like a moment in time. It's like a photograph of the moment that, say, you were born or any of us were born. And after that point, the planets keep moving around the Earth or around the Sun. And so the transits are where a planet has moved from your time of birth to where it is now.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this has a bearing on...
It does, yeah. It does. It gives you an indication of what might be major issues for someone in their life at that particular time, depending on the sign the planet's in and where it falls in the chart.
Really?
And the aspects or the sort of angular relationship it's making to natal planets.
Is it possible that we can have a look at the chart that you did?
Yeah.
This is my chart.
Yes, it is indeed.
Okay.
So if you can see it,
this here.
the outside circle is really the path that the sun appears to make around the Earth, with the Earth right in the very middle of the centre. Yep.
This is the Earth here.
If you pretend the Earth is right in the very middle. And on this side, that's where the sun rises in the morning, and you can see that in your chart the sun lies just below the horizon. This marks the horizon east and west.
Okay.
Okay, and the sun sort of rises here and then travels around during the day and sets in the west there.
Okay. So now this chart was taken from my details, which are my
That's right.
the birth date and time
and
year
place.
and place.
Yeah.
Is the place important?
Yes, latitude and longitude is important because it gives you exact coordinates.
Right.
Yeah. It's like using your Melways to find a place.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
On Earth, yeah.
Okay.
So in your chart, the sun's here, and it's just below the horizon. So you were born just a little bit before sunrise. So, like in pre-dawn skies, where the sun starts to, the sky starts to light up in the east, it would have been like that.
Do you know, it's interesting you say that's my favourite part of the day.
Yeah, often, that's reflected people's favourite part of the day.
Kirsten's completely bored about this.
She hears it all
We're
the
going to be talking
time.
about your front teeth in the middle of the minute, so pay attention. Okay, so moving right along.
Yeah, often people's favourite time of day is indicated by when they're born too.
Really?
Like people who are real night owls, like 3 o'clock in the morning, people just say that they're thriving at that time, and often that they were born at that time too.
So they have an affinity with the time of day where they were born?
Yeah.
Okay, so now, and then this, what is all this business here, all these lines going?
They're just showing angular relationships between the planets. So, because it's a 360-degree circle, it just shows a relationship between two planets. So planets might be in opposition. Jupiter's opposite Pluto in your chart, and Pluto's conjunct the ascendant, and an opposition means one thing, conjunction means another.
So what does that mean in my case in here?
So
Jupiter's opposite?
Well, Pluto's conjunct the ascendant. So it can mean that personality-wise you can be very powerful and manipulative is another one.
It's quite good for the ego having your chart done, isn't it?
It can be very good for the ego, yeah.
A little bit detrimental.
That's part of the aim, is to inspire a person when they have their chart, really make them feel secure with themselves.
Gosh, we're getting there. We're almost at our wind up.
Actually?
Yes, but it's been fascinating.
Okay.
But before we go now, Kirsten, can we just say you had... Smile at the camera. Smile at the camera over there. Now, you're missing your front teeth. Did you pull those out?
Yes.
Are you going to leave those for the tooth fairy?
I've always listened.
Maybe she'll come tonight. Yeah. Oh, well, I hope that works for you very well. I do like that pink gown, too. Wendy, thank you so much for coming. Thank you for
when we had an Australian gay lesbian conference down at La Trobe University, I'd shown some interest and I was created as Sister Mary Outrage Checkmate. I suppose at that time we didn't realise how important that'd all be.
I am a female, but that makes me the first female gay male nun in history. But I felt I was strongly drawn to this order very soon after Mother, and I have assiduously followed this calling ever since.
Each of us select our own names. We try to pick something which is outrageous and funny and has some kind of message. I picked this name Soissons-Neur.
Thought fairy is a gay person and penguin is another name for a nun, so it's just a fairy penguin, and I like it.
Safe and sensible, all the pleasures great and small, all men wise and wonderful, we do enjoy them all.
Certainly, the real article nuns think we're quite foolish and laugh, I think, at the fact that we go back into the habit that they've managed to avoid, but they also see the point that we're trying to make, and I think they understand and usually have a great joke with us.
Gracious, dignified figures, conferring amongst ourselves. We've been bounced up to by indignant elderly, I was going to say gentlemen, but that's not quite what I mean, saying things like, you ought to be ashamed of yourselves, you fellas, it's absolutely disgraceful what you're doing. So I turn around and say, yes, can I help you? And this all gets to be too much. They just blow fuses right across the board and go away and leave us alone.
Each little bit of massages, fingers on my skin. We love the thrill of cuddling, we love our tits to sing.
But I too feel that we have joined this order as a protest against the structured, regimented, judgmental attitudes towards sex and sexuality.
Most people, I think, enjoy it. We can do some things like creating saints while they're still here. We have a saint here in Melbourne, St Philip the Large of Abbotsford. Phil Caswell did a lot of work for the gay community at the start of the AIDS issues. We have another St Anne on hold, who's Anne Midge from Fairfield Hospital. So there are things like that we can actually do and recognise people.
I'm just having a word with Sister Rhythm Method about her wonderful shroud.
Yes, this is in commemoration of its creator, Sister Rose Incarnate and Sister Analingus Cunnilingus, and I wear it to commemorate them. They died of the dreaded HIV a while ago, but I wear it on for festive occasions and because tonight's a very good cause with the raising of the funds for HIV/AIDS.
Yes. Hello. God bless you. 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 Yes, that's a lovely brooch you've got there. Is this for the crucifix stick?
This is a very 90s group, Lesbians and Gays for Reconciliation. What's it all about?
You want to start, please?
Well, basically, it's for lesbians and gay men and transgender and bisexuals, anybody who identifies as queer, to, I suppose, take a stand on Indigenous issues and rights. Earlier this year, there was a lot to do in the news around native title. Native title was something that we were quite concerned about, and that was actually the stimulus for the group getting together.
Yeah, but it's probably worth, I mean, it's all about reconciliation, so can we talk a little bit about what that means?
Sure. As Bruce was saying, there have been a lot of issues in the Australian Parliament around native title, around Mabo, around WIC. So there's been stuff happening at the political level, but apart from that, there's also been the giant move that we've all been watching so carefully of the right in Australia, making racist statements, making homophobic statements, starting to wind back a lot of the gains that we made in the 80s around anti-discrimination. And we're really concerned about that. Mm-hmm. And so we're acting on reconciliation in the narrow sense in terms of Indigenous rights and in the broader sense in terms of all the other issues that it links into.
Okay, so this, you mentioned the Queers Stick with WIC, which is, I have a little photograph which I might show first, but so this was one of your first campaigns, is this right?
Yes, that's right.
You were marching here at the Pride March this year, Queers Stick with WIC. Was that the one where you had the armbands?
That's right. We wanted to have at least 1,000 people wearing armbands at the Pride March to show support for a native title. I suppose that's historically the native title issue goes back to the settlement of Australia by Europeans, where it was assumed that Australia was not inhabited by, well, it was inhabited, but the land didn't actually belong to any people at all. Therefore giving Europeans the right to just take the land. Now that wasn't the case, of course. Aboriginals had lived here for 40,000 years and they had a really strong connection with the land. Mm-hmm. And in the early 90s, the Mabo decision recognised that terra nullius was a lie.
So that was the Eddie Mabo case?
Right, yeah. Okay. And he, that decision recognised that native title did exist on Crown land, and of course there was no argument from governments over that because nobody was really using that land anyway. It was Crown land. But the decision, which recognised native title, declared that Aboriginals had some right to pastoral lease land as well, and that's where there was a problem because mining groups and pastoralists felt really threatened by that decision. They felt that their rights over the land were going to be taken away. So, yes, so that was the decision back in 93, and now, well, this year...
Now we've got the 10-point plan thing, which is that's a Liberal government initiative, and it's actually law now, the 10-point plan.
That's a very sad backward step because although the gains of Aboriginal people under native title legislation were limited, this winds them back even further, and now there are really, really strict conditions about Aboriginal people being allowed to negotiate over the use of their own land, and it's going to be almost impossible for them to do that.
Native title was a very small concession by modern Australians to Aboriginal people. Mm-hmm. the rights that they received with that were very small, really. It was just the right to camp and hunt, hold ceremonies, and to negotiate for those rights with people who had their cows walking on that land and feeding on that land. So it wasn't actually land where white Australians might be living.
Right.
It was land where cows were walking and feeding, which I don't think is much of...
Not such a big deal.
No, not really at all.
Okay, so I'm kind of interested in the lesbian and gay part of the reconciliation movement. Can you talk a little bit about the connection between... Why should we care as lesbians and gays? Why should we care about reconciliation?
We should care as Australians, first of all, without a doubt, but as lesbians and gay men, racism and Indigenous rights, they are issues that are particularly important because they feed into and they propagate the same sorts of beliefs about scapegoating individual groups, setting certain members of society one against the other, and creating a climate where so-called special interest groups really are becoming sort of less and less safe positions in society, and we've seen that with recent political events. So we think it's really important to make the links. If people are afraid of something they don't know about, if they're prepared to speak out in a way that scapegoats certain people, we should be concerned. We should be concerned for Indigenous Australians, we should be concerned for migrants, and we should be concerned for ourselves.
Okay, so it's really just about bigotry.
Absolutely.
And being aware.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And of course there are members of our community who are Indigenous, you know.
Sure.
We might be gay and lesbian, but we also have members who are Indigenous people.
There was recently a campaign. We have to plug your event before we go, because we've got a couple of minutes left, but I just wanted to talk about there was a little action that you all went up to. Where did you go? To the people that initially used to live in the land?
Wurundjeri people.
Okay.
And they
what are they called?
Wurundjeri people.
Wurundjeri.
And they were the people who originally lived in the area which is now Melbourne. And there is some land near Healesville which has been given back to them to some extent. I don't think they actually own the land. I think they're just allowed to take control of it for a couple of years, and those people invited Lesbians and Gays for Reconciliation to stay up there as a reconciliation weekend.
And you all went up?
We were the first group ever up there, so you had 25 city puffs and dykes camping out overnight.
I can't imagine.
It was fantastic.
Did you miss the modern conveniences just a little bit?
We struggled.
Okay.
It was a great weekend.
It was a fantastic.
Now, Black Featherette is a fundraiser that's coming up.
That's right, and that's to fund our next campaign. Can I say where it is?
Yes, at the Prince of Wales.
It's at the Prince of Wales, and it stars Vicar and Linda Bull and Ruby Hunter and Blackfire, Brolga Boys, Lisa Belair, Clinton Nain and Ivan Davis.
3rd of September at the Prince of Wales for Black Featherette, which is a fundraiser for Lesbians and Gays for Reconciliation. We've run out of time.
Oh my goodness.
Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
And go everybody, go.